Hi everyone, do you ever stop and reflect and think, why do I ride bikes? Or more to the point, where would I be without them? Well, I'm going to dig deep in this one and tell you exactly what bikes do for me. Hop on board and we'll go for a spin. Welcome on board everybody. As you can see, I'm on the VFR 800. This is a topic I often think about, and I'll be totally honest, I often take for granted. I often think how lucky I am as well. In fact, there's a load of feelings and a load of emotions involved with riding bikes for me. Where do I start? I suppose I'll go right back to the beginning. When I was 8 years old, actually I do have the photograph, I'll flash that up on the screen now. I sat on my very first motorbike. It was an Ital Jet, and it belonged to a friend of a friend. Anyway, from that moment onwards, I was hooked. I spent every weekend cycling my push bike to the local library just to read books on motorbikes and look at magazines on motorbikes. There was also a pack of playing cards at the time called Top Trumps. I don't know if any of you remember them. They had a motorbike version of them. Basically anything I could get my hands on to do with motorbikes, that was it. And I pleaded and begged my parents, and also promised that I would forego every Christmas present and every birthday present for eternity, as long as that Christmas I could get a motorbike. Anyway, that didn't work, and as long as I was living under the roof of my parents, they wouldn't allow me to get a motorbike. So I'm not going to go into the whole history of why I bike, but basically what I wanted to say is that from that moment when I was 8 years on, biking never left me. It is fair to say the love affair started then with bikes. Now, I suppose I have to tell you a little bit of the history. I then got my RGV 250 when I was 21, CBR 600 when I was 23, I think, and crashed that. And that gave me a 30-year break from bikes. And within that 30-year break, I took up lots of other different hobbies, pastimes, and passions, like flying being the main one. I was hooked onto flying for, well, a long time until the bank account ran dry. And I was into all sorts of stuff, not to mention the music playing in the bands and whatever else. Anyway, I sort of needed to be active, and again, without going down this route, I've touched on it before in a few of my more personal videos. I have been troubled over my years on the planet with addiction and also with depression. So I've sort of always looked for something to stop me sinking down the plug hole, if you like, or to stop me sinking to the bottom of the bottle would be more apt to say. And I guess that's why I've always remained active, to be honest. And I think it's a second sense to me now. I always need to be planning stuff. I need something to look forward to, and I need something called the power of now. I need to appreciate that present moment, and if I'm not doing anything, it's a dangerous environment for me to be in. So there you go. That's the that's the personal stuff out the way at the beginning of the video. So what? Now forgive me if I'm teaching Granny how to suck eggs, and by no means am I preaching to you here. Okay, I'm only going to tell you what bikes do to me, how they make me feel, what I get out of it, and I'm not saying you should get the same things out of it. But if you don't, then you need to get a new hobby. so I'll leave that one there. So the biggest thing I get, well, actually in no order, okay? But for those of you who own bikes, all right, you know what I'm talking about. When you go out on a bike, and it doesn't matter if you have the weight of the world on your shoulders, when you go out for a bike ride, you are so focused. You haven't got time to think about anything else. You've, well, especially, I mean, I'm blessed living in Ireland and owning a motorbike. Well, actually, again, not just one, but 5 currently. And I'll come on to that in a minute. But the scenery that you witness on a motorbike, and because you're more aware of your surroundings, I personally never take in the same amount of scenery when I'm in a car. In fact, I sort of go on to autopilot when I'm in a car, if I'm honest. But on a motorbike, you can smell the air, you can smell your surroundings, and you instinctively become much more aware. So basically, I love the ride of the bike, first of all, okay? I love the freedom. And I know it's a cliche, everybody says they love the freedom and the escapism being on a motorbike. Why is that? Because you can go to pretty much the same places in a car. Well, it's not the same experience. And it's pretty much this for me, which segues nicely into this next part of motorcycling. When I'm not riding bikes, I'm thinking about where I'm going to be going on a bike. Now, I have another layer to that, okay, because I run this YouTube channel. I'm always trying to think of new and different places to go and to bring you exciting videos. To be honest, I don't have the luxury of reviewing a lot of bikes on this channel, which was a bit of a disappointment because I sort of set up this channel to do that and ride as many bikes as I could. But because we don't have manufacturers of motorbikes based in Ireland, we only have dealers. So I can really only get my hands on demo bikes, and then by the time I sort of get my hands on them, there's been 100,000 reviews already done on that same bike, you know. And but anyway, I'm still sort of chasing ideas with that and how to bring you more and more reviews of bikes. You know, I'm still working on that. Any ideas, by the way, are welcome in the comments below. But like I say, going back to especially the dark winter nights, I mean, it was great last winter. I was able to plan the Inisherin series, which I did this year on Airll Island. And again, the previous Christmas, I was able to plan the Connemara series. And there's an awful lot of planning goes into trips and mini-series like that. Because rather than just riding around hoping that I get the inspiration to talk about something, I actually put a little bit more into it and unearth some stories with each place I fancy going to visit. And if I haven't unearthed the story, then I'll find one. Well, you'll see this coming autumn, I have an amazing series coming to you. And there's my little chance to say, if you're not already a subscriber to this channel, then become one, because this one is an amazing one. It's the Northern Irish coastline, the Antrim coastline. I've never done it before. Well, I have done it because I'm talking to you now about it. I just haven't edited it, but it's a very, very special one. And I start from the Titanic shipyard in Belfast and then go all the way around the Antrim coastline. It was unbelievable, but I put months of work into that, unearthing the stories, and that's what I mean. To me, I suppose because of what I do for a living, all right, I'm used to digging out stories and going off to film them. I mean, that's what I do as a 9-to-5 job, and I sort of it's in my blood. I'm born and bred to do that. So to do that on two wheels, just that whole sense of, and here I go again with the cliches, I would never go to the lengths in a car to go to these places and unearth these stories and do a YouTube video about them. But because I'm on a motorbike, the whole sense of escapism, freedom, just everything about it. I haven't a clue where I'm going here. Well, I do ultimately know where I'm going, but the sat-nav is taking me a different way to which I normally do. And again, that's another part of biking, isn't it? Just go somewhere. Well, most of the time I just go wherever the road takes me. Now, I am, however, heading out to Fore Abbey. This was the first place I ever went to on a motorbike. When I got back, sorry, I missed that vital part. After my 30-year break on motorbikes, in lockdown, I had a Yamaha Dragstar 650, great little bike. It had been sitting in the garage for a couple of years, and I hadn't done much with it. I hadn't really sort of gotten into it. Because I was allowed to work in lockdown, I had to go and deliver a hard drive down to an editor in Dublin who was cutting a program I'd been working on about the lockdown and about COVID. And I rode the Yamaha Dragstar down to Dublin. It took me about an hour and a half. And that was the moment 3 years ago. I thought, okay, I'm hooked again. After the 30-year break, I just thought I need to get into bikes in a big way, because it had stirred something inside me I hadn't felt stirring in a long time. And on my way back, I was grinning like a Cheshire cat. I walked into the house and I said to my wife, good news and bad news. She said, good news first. I said, I'm packing in the flying. Now, I'd had a few near escapes with the flying, because I was very frustrated with the weather here in Ireland. You can't really go flying whenever the mood takes you. So I used to take stupid risks, and I used to go flying in weather I shouldn't have been flying in. My wife was just terrified every time I went flying, basically. So she was delighted about that when I said I was packing the flying in. And then she said, what's the bad news? I said, I'm getting back into bikes. Oh, she just rolled her eyes. But in fairness to her, she can see what motorbikes do for me, and she can see what I get out of it. And actually the flip side of that is, so can my eldest son. And he recently, well, last year, passed his motorcycle test. And I watch all this rubbish on the road. And I'm doing my best to keep him off a bike, because I know he needs a few more years under his belt with driving experience. He's only been driving a car for a year. I'd really prefer he got some experience under his belt. Some road experience, shall we say. Don't know where I'm going on these roads, but it's rather nice. And that's the other thing, isn't it? You know, when you're riding around, and quite often, especially on the CRF, because I know I have the capability to go off-road as well, which I've done a few times when I need to. And like, basically, there are no obstacles when you're on a motorbike, really. Oh, I'm following a detour, obviously, that's why. So Google Maps has shown me that there's a road closed somewhere and taking me down this road. Well, this is very exciting for me. These are roads that are well travelled by myself on two wheels. So, well, not this particular one. That's why I'm saying it. So this is lovely to have a different journey. Nice house. Well, it will be when it's finished. But lovely sight. The other thing I want to touch on, the respect that that having a motorbike gives you. I just think it's vital, especially in the younger generation of today, who spend a lot of the time on iPads and phones and whatever. Now, my daughter is mad into her horses. She's a show jumper, and she has a good few horses. Well, too many horses. But then she'd say I have too many motorbikes, though. If she's watching this, she won't mind. We rib each other about it. But to see the discipline that my daughter has, and the focus and the hard work she puts in, I liken it so much to being a motorcycle owner. When she's not riding a horse, she's looking after the horse, and she's, you know, maintenance is key, obviously, with a motorbike, as it is with a horse. And she's up at 6 o'clock most mornings, you know, tending to the horse. Now, obviously, I don't do that with a motorbike. But, you know, well, you know what I'm saying. When you've been out riding, the bike is dirty or covered in rain or whatever else. We then have to clean it, we have to maintain it. This is going in for its next service very soon, so already I'm thinking about that. I'm looking at the tyres all the time. The focus, but to be honest, a lot of us might even take that for granted, because I know a lot of us do our own maintenance as well. And I'd love to get to that stage, especially with a few bikes, you know. It does cost a canny penny at this time of year, as they used to say in my hometown. But yeah, that discipline it instills is great with anybody wanting to get into motorbikes. The other thing I want to touch on, now, I wouldn't be one myself to be calling my bikes names, right? I don't have names for any of my bikes. But I know a lot of you do. That's grand. If that's your thing, that's fine. But have you noticed a lot of us refer to our bikes as a gender, like a he or a her? Now, I don't think there's such a thing as a transgender motorbike yet, but hey, give it time. And I can hear a lot of you shouting at the screen, yeah, all those Harleys! Not true, not true. But have you noticed that? You know, our bikes are he's or she's, and that all is... Got to be careful here. These roads look as though they're... I know I'm on the detour road, but these roads look as though they're just being prepped for resurfacing. A lot of loose gravel around. Don't know if you can see that on the camera. But yeah, what was I saying? That all leads into the love affair we have with our bikes. And here indeed is the machine here to do the resurface, so they have stripped the road. I will be very careful here. Yeah, it's all part of the love affair, isn't it? So, in fact, again, the similarities of having a wife or a girlfriend, or a boyfriend, if you're that way inclined. You know, when you refer to your bike, I mean, there are so many similarities. Now, I'm not going to go down the route of all the dirty jokes. You can figure it out for yourself, and I'm sure you've heard most of them. Where on earth am I going? A lot of country roads around here where I live, which is great. Not necessarily lending themselves to this bike when I just want to explore the VTEC all the time on this bike. I am going to be making a separate video actually about the VTEC on this, because the more and more videos I watch about people who own VFR 800s, and the amount of people who seem to be frightened of VTEC kicking in, it doesn't happen. Actually, I've just sort of given away another secret there, and that's proof, isn't it? I mean, when I'm not riding bikes, I'm watching videos of other people riding bikes. I think it is true to say that I am addicted to bikes. I love bikes, and as I said in the intro, I'm not sure what I would do if I didn't have bikes. I have no doubt I'd find something else, but one thing I can absolutely bet my bottom dollar on is that it wouldn't be as good as this. It wouldn't be as exciting as this. I'm completely in love with two-wheeled machines, if you couldn't already tell. I'd love to know in the comments, folks, what bikes do for you, and if there's any other emotions that I've stirred or anything I've evoked, or that indeed your bike evokes within yourself, then let me know. I even love, and I've touched on this so many times, cleaning the bikes. I get as much satisfaction out of seeing the bikes coming back alive and looking shiny and new. Well, most of you know the Royal Enfield, the Continental GT, lived in the hallway of my house for the first 2 years until I built the garage for it to go in as well, you know. But coming down the stairs every morning on my way to work or wherever and just looking at that bike just makes me happy. Is it a bad thing? Is it an unusual thing? I don't know. You let me know. The other thing I wanted to say, which I'll probably leave the video with, is I'm very lucky to own the 5 bikes, and what I've tried to do with the 5 bikes is to cover a lot of genres. So obviously the CRF is the dual sport or the dirt bike. This is a sports tourer. My Aprilia RS660 is my sports bike, and that really does fill the void when I just need that sudden burst of adrenaline. The GS tops it all with a sort of all year round bike and a huge level of comfort, way above any other bike that I've ever ridden, not just that I own. And then there's the Royal Enfield, which is what I call my Sunday bike. So I'm sort of filling, well, I think I have filled every genre for me. I mean, there are other bikes which obviously do different things for you. But for me, I wanted to tick all of those boxes, and I'm very fortunate to have been able to do so. I don't know how much longer I'll hold on to the 5, if I'm honest, because I just haven't got time to ride them. But it was certainly a great idea and what I needed at the time. Now I know where I am. Now I've just got to be very careful coming out on here. This is the main N3 that I'm crossing. Now I know where I'm going, yeah. So that's the crack, folks. I am a very emotional person anyway. But when anybody wants to talk to me about bikes, they have my attention. This weekend coming, actually, I've got the 10,000 subscriber. When the channel hit 10,000 subscribers, I've got that right out. So, you know, I've only met half a dozen, maybe more, other riders and other vloggers as well, especially at the ABR festival back in the summer. and everybody I've met has just been a person I want to spend more time with, you know, that way. Basically, I haven't met a bad egg yet, and I think that's another part of our passion, another part of our love affair with bikes. There's always something to talk about. Basically, we're starting off our friendships with a lot in common, and that's how life works, isn't it? I feel rain. Welcome to Ireland. Anyway, I really hope you agree with everything I've spoken about there. Thanks a million for coming along for the ride. I hope you enjoyed it. It's something I've really wanted to talk to you about and get off my chest. And I suppose to say it out loud, it's almost like therapy for me, as indeed motorbikes are, full stop. Okay, you know what I'm talking about. Thanks a million for coming along for the ride. Can't wait to read your comments on this one. Ride safe, be safe, have a great week everybody, and I'll see you next Saturday, same time, 8 o'clock on YouTube. Stay across the Instagram channel as well, because for some reason that's really taken off. And again, that's at Really Good TV. Alright folks, have a good one. Dave Perry, Really Good TV. And I'll chat soon. All the best.